This episode was recorded on January 8th, 2021.
Good morning, Mayberry.
Well, hi, kids. This episode is not for the faint of heart, especially if you know me personally. And that's actually saying something, considering the previous content that I've come out with. In this episode, I have a very, very special guest on, and we have a number of conversations that involve talking about Occupy and our experience there at Oscar Grant Plaza in Oakland. One of the stories that my guest, Sister Mary HotTakes, tells is about a street counseling, case management, mentorship, trauma recovery sort of event that he was wrapped up into with a victim of a sexual assault. And there's some dialogue in it that is charged in a way that the story itself is not graphic, but I recognize that I have like liberals listening to me. The weirdest thing, y'all, I have liberal fans. I have liberal listeners. Democrats listen to my show. It's wild. I'm not changing a thing about my tone or pace. I just want to let y'all know they are here and they are listening. So given that they are here, I just know this about them. They have delicate sensibilities and they don't know what the real world consists of a lot of the time. So I'm literally trigger warning, not necessarily the sexually explicit content, the dialogue that happens between Sister Mary HotTakes and the person that he was helping out. You know, it's almost like it's the mood that liberals can't handle. Like just somebody being in pain and expressing that, they see that as something that they can turn their gaze away from and still call themselves good people. And so I'm trigger warning folks who can't look at the pain of others. I guess that's what the deal is. And the only reason really that I feel compelled to add this little blurb of myself over informing you, over disclaiming what I should put out as just raw art, just the content in and of itself, the essence of it. I'm here doing this because I've had people treat me as though I have violated them by letting them know about the type of work that I do in this world with people in pain. And when I say the type of work I do, I mean ministry. So here we go with Sister Mary HotTakes, whose actual name we will get into later in the episode. Okay, so let's do just real quick, because generally we've been just jumping into things.
Oh, yeah, we could. Yeah.
You deserve like a whole introduction. like, you're a bitch. Then in a few months, you're about to be like a bitch who needs no introduction, right? That's what's coming.
I get, yeah. I mean, well, I'm already a superstar. People just don't know it yet.
I know it. And, you know, I'm a celebrity. I'm just not quite that famous yet, but we're creeping along second by second.
What always gets me with that is people say, you know, like we're not celebrities, but at the same point, I know that if I walked down 4th Street, I'd see like 85 people I know. So celebrities is like...
Why wouldn't we call ourselves celebrities, though? I celebrate you.
Exactly. Thank you. Get back to the roots of words, people. They mean things.
Yes, that shook me up for a second. I was like, wait, are we on different pages about you don't celebrate me? No, so we're a celebrity.
No, we're on total the same page.
You're grieving. You're a celebrity.
That's why we're here, is because in Occupy, we found the same page and have stuck to it.
Yeah, no, and I think everybody listening is also a celebrity. I just need to make that clear.
No, it's not an exclusive club. Like,
absolutely not. Okay. Now, we are gathered here today to talk about how we told y'all so.
Oh, we told y'all. Look, hey, I'm up front with it. I am the bitch that will tell you, yo, I told you that was coming.
You are that bitch. That bitch you
It's
are.
a curse. It is a curse.
Well, the thing is I know this about you because we met in 2011 in the fall.
It was Marin Occupy was getting together.
There was an Occupy Marin. I think people didn't know.
You were about to head, like you were literally the day before, or it's like you were right in the window of before you went to Oakland. We met on the street. There was an immediate connection. Then the 2-week celebration of Occupy happened. They kicked our asses all over the street. And then you came to Oakland the next day and never left. Except for when they chased us out. That's a different story.
And Marin Occupy did not forgive me for that. They were so angry with me. So now let's just do some bullet points. We're not going to get deep into any stories, but there were some things that happened to us that ruined our lives, like just completely ruined our lives. But also,
you mean witnessing a murder?
Oh, like that. That was a thing. Yeah. That was like later on. That was not even like remotely close to the
that was
thing.
The crescendo to a long, long list of oh shit.
I would say that was the beginning of the crescendo. That day, if you recall, ended with us getting our lives threatened and having to leave.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Was that okay? So the shooting happened. Immediately, I'll never forget it because I heard voice, ran to her, like literally seconds after shots fired. You were coming out of the cafe thing, wherever you had, like around that corner.
I sure was.
You went straight to Coyote.
You saw me?
Yes, you were.
I don't remember that part
because you were in trauma response.
I remember being behind the cafe. Yep. I don't remember. I remember looking around the corner and seeing the bald-headed medic that ended up getting run out of the farm.
Yeah.
No, the white one. The white one.
White guy.
Yeah. Right. I remember seeing him from a deep distance. I saw his jacket and his head sticking up bald as shit out of his red ass jacket.
I can picture it clearly.
And then I was next to him, like, wait, give him space. And they were like,
yeah. At that moment, what I was doing was, if you remember, was right there, front and center. Because as soon as they shot him, she yelled, "Why'd you shoot my friend? Why'd you shoot my friend?" Because everybody was her friend, even if they were mistreated. It was that.
Yeah, that was just one of her. There was wait. So to cover some ground, there were people that were just like they were there because they needed community in some kind of fashion.
Well, we set up on top of, like, Occupy was set up on top of where people who were in need already kind of seemed to congregate. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
that's a point that cannot be stressed enough.
It's true. And so we immediately became people helping people, and we were helping the community. Never fucking forget that for a mile radius around us, the crime and all that stuff dropped so crazy that they couldn't fuck with us until they goaded us into fucking with us.
It dropped 14%.
There you go. Which, not for nothing, for some poor folks feeding people, that's not bad.
No, and I remember the cops, like,
some were cool with us.
They liked us. Like, I remember, I heard that from a cop.
Me too.
And then it was confirmed
it was
in the news.
sergeant.
And it was
man, I used to know his name.
Yeah, like, everybody was harmonic about that fact, and it was fine for a minute. Yeah. Everything was so fine. And it wasn't like perfect. It wasn't a utopia. It was, you know what I mean? Like, people have this weird idea about anarchistic structures and formats. Like, first of all, that we think we're in a vacuum and that we're not, like, deeply connected with other systems and functional forms of thought and types of communities and cult think and all of that shit. First of all, like, there was no disillusionment about our involvement and investment and cooperation and collaboration and, like, contentious relationship with other realms of thinking and living. Additionally, like, it's like, nobody ever thought we were going for perfect.
No, well, that's the whole
right?
point. That's what pissed people off, is because when they were like, they would ask you, why are you here? And you're like, because I'm supposed to be. And they'd be like,
everything's broken. Look at it all. Don't you want to fix something?
Yeah, how are you not? Hey, look around and tell me how you're not here is really the question.
Yeah. Why aren't you here? Why aren't you? What do you not get about
it? People that you ask that question to wind up joining, if I remember correctly. You know what I'm saying?
Not on my end.
Well, I had quite a few experiences where it was those magic. Occupy did a lot for me personally, in that I always had a lot of self-esteem issues and a lot of, like, to be quite frank, I shouldn't have been born issues. And there was a few times at Occupy where literally, had I not been where I was, shit would have been a lot worse for some people or someone. And somehow that finally got through my thick fucking traumatized skull that, like, I am supposed to be on this planet. I do have a mission, so get fucking busy. And it changed a lot for me, but it also disenfranchised me from a lot too when it was all said and done. It was that's a mixed bag, which brings me to looking at current events, and I can't help but, like, just look at them and go, they're doing it wrong. And to be quite frank with you, my first thought when I was driving down the road and I found out all of this was happening.
I just made a big old commitment to not use vague theys anymore. After yesterday and what I have seen happen today with the news and the common discourse, I'm just doing my best. It's been hard work.
I completely
And I'm working on being able to use they as a singular, like, pronoun for an individual.
Well,
which
they is a good thing that people can, like, hide. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
yes.
So when I say they in that moment, who I am referring to are the people who stormed the Capitol. I do believe that's the story I was telling. I could be foggy and wrong.
No, yeah, that's the they you meant.
Okay, good.
See what I mean, though? That we just talked about the they and we got almost lost in it.
Well, there's a lot of theys. That's the problem.
We are some theys. We are a couple of theys.
I was about to say, that's part of that. It really drives the message home that there's a lot of theys when you're a they.
Ain't it?
But so, it really, okay, so the they I mean are the people who, when I look at it, and living in South Carolina as I do now, home again.
Who's meowing in the background?
That's Tubby, and he will be our background cat for the evening. Think of him as your Greek chorus. Tubby, I'm trying to do stuff, buddy.
Oh, he's welcome. Okay, we don't need to worry.
That's
okay. Everybody's happy about Tubby. Thank you, Tubby.
He's like James Brown. He's the hardest working cat in show business.
Absolutely. What would we do without Tubby? Heavens.
Honey, he's my gargoyle mascot. I will tell people the story of Tubby. That's a different day.
Another time.
That's a different day. So the day I'm referring to is the people that appear, at least on surface. Because when you look at, okay, there's a certain element of yesterday that you can't deny was a weaponized section of Trump's base, which, I mean, when you listen to what he said and then you look at what they did.
I mean, okay, well, I don't actually know what he said because, as you know my head is firmly in my coloring books, in my unicorn coloring books these days.
Which I cannot fault a bit. I would honestly stay there. It's better.
Yeah. I mean, I've been popping out occasionally.
I'm about to say, any news you really need, you'll hear about it.
Yeah. I mean, and here we are on my soapbox.
I was going to see exactly.
With my head out of the coloring book. All right, go on.
But so, okay, first let's roll back. And I'm just going to tell this story the way it happened, and that will get me to the they. So yesterday, I leave my house to run errands, and I am literally like almost to the DMV, and nothing was on the 60 station, nothing was on the whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? Let's check out NPR. Maybe they're talking about something. And I turn it on, and they're like, this is a terrible day for the nation. Da, 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 da. And, you know, my first thought's like, yeah, I hate Kamala too. But so...
They don't. Wait, does NPR hate Kamala?
No, they don't, no. But I like to pretend.
Kamala. I'm not saying her name properly. Harris. Fucking Harris. Heresy.
Oh, I'll fuck up a name. I'm from the South. That's like part of our heritage.
I hate her.
People are all like, that's racist. I'm like, no, that's just our ignorance that we're trying. We're trying. We're from the South. We were all cousins like fucking 7 generations ago. Give us a break. Also, actually, quick side note on that. As scary as it is that like South Carolina is like damn near the heart of Trump country, and it's fucking scary. You also see the Lindsey Graham of it all, which is the person who went along with Trump and co-signed everything he said, even after Trump had torn apart his ass in the election. Not the election. Yeah, it is the election. Whatever the fuck they do when they pretend to let us vote.
That part.
And the runoffs or whatever the fuck it is. Okay, primaries. That's the word.
The pageant.
But so Lindsey Graham totally just like bent over like the look, I'm from South Carolina. I'll just tell you the truth. There's stories on Senate Street up and down about Miss Lindsey Graham. So Miss Lindsey pisses me the fuck off because that's like the epitome of someone who is a closet member of the community who's oppressing you to your face and trying to blow you behind your back.
Oh, man.
And that's it's one of those like, although you can suck my dick from the back, Lindsay, and I invite you to, fuck off.
That's a complicated response to.
Look, sometimes people just need to lick my asshole.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not arguing with any of this. I'm just like,
well, no, especially because when it gets down to the like, I get very upset with, okay, if you are not a member, if you don't have like some huge, like, I don't know, if you're not Lindsey fucking Graham, who's like running shit or whatnot, I totally understand that maybe it's easy for you to not come out of the closet and yada, yada, yada. But when it's fucking, at the time, 2016, we'll go with that one. Why not? Even though we can carry it as early or long as you want to. How do you hold your tongue? Because okay, as a gay person growing up in the South, I totally get probably what Lindsay's experience was, where he's like trying to blend in with straight folks and trying to swim in the straight lane.
How rumory and how sure is that before we carry on like a narrative? Because you know how audiences can be. So I want to be cautious.
To put it really bluntly to you, I'm the guy who fucked him.
Okay.
I mean, is that close enough?
I mean, that gives people some context as to where your surety is coming from.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, God.
I think they need to get over themselves because we got too many things.
I'm just saying, like, it's one of those. I'm actually upset that I'm, penis cousins with Lindsey Graham now. That's not.
Oh, hell. I didn't think of that part yet.
It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but very sad.
That's a bummer. It's like a super bummer. I mean, it was kind of a bummer already because the way you were. Up. Well, no, I mean the way you were.
6 degrees, it's 6 inches.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's even worse. Yeah, I was because when you started, you were like, basically, it was all the, we got into it with the Miss Lindsey Graham, and so like in my mind, I was having like a cartoon begin, and then you got into some really colorful, like sexual euphemism, metaphor kinds of narrative, and that cartoon imagery got expansive based on that, and then it just has gotten deeper and deeper over the last couple of minutes. So let's continue. Because this is awful. This is just horrible.
Well, it gets me. It gets me when someone is, okay, so when you're in that position of power and you are, how do I say, utilizing the community.
Oh, huh.
But meanwhile, you are cutting the legs out from under the community.
Yes.
And I'm supposed to be like, I get it, honey. It's tough in this world. Sometimes you just gotta, fuck you. Like, no. Especially not when people's lives are on the line. Like, literally, truly. I do not like Donald Trump. It's not a secret. But if I will ever thank him for one thing, it's that he gave the bigots and whatever the rest of that rainbow is, with that spectrum, he gave them the freedom and the feeling that they could come out and just openly be as hateful as they want to be. Don't we all remember the whole, like, you lost, snowflake, get over it of 2016? It was like Trump gave the freedom to be everything that you weren't. It was like it was, what do you call it? It was like a war on the PC culture kind of a thing, where it's like, you've made us not be able to say faggot, and we're mad about that. And so now that finally someone's in office again who has some sense, we can say faggot. And it's like, but no, you were always being a bigot. Like that was always bad. The same way, if you look in South Carolina, a lot more Confederate flags appeared after Trump, even though don't get me wrong, they've always been here, but people who had kind of kept their racism and their, whatever their niche, hatred is, it allowed it to come back out. If you really want to get deep with it, even so much so that I saw, how do I word this? It's always a dicey game talking to people of color in the South when you say that you're gay. Because, that's one of those things where, like, how like the white supremacy thing is one of our issues we got to work on. There's some homophobia, transphobia, queerphobia shit that POC people have to work on. I mean, well, let's face it. If you really
it's debatably like hyper defended because it was inserted into the culture via like colonizer terrorism.
Right. That's the bitch of it all. Well, that's the untangling, and then the uncomfortable conversation
shit and like all of that. Like, it's a complicated situation. I'll be getting into that in future episodes other times. I actually plan to have some like queerphobic people that I'm talking to in the future, and
I would be happy to talk along to help you talk with them, because I'm actually surprisingly good at talking to people who should make me choke them.
Sure, I'm down. I've been thinking a lot about how like MTV had that gay guy on with Shirley Phelps Roper back in the day, and like That's just been on my mind a lot lately.
Wait, Pedro? Which gay guy?
Oh, I can't remember. He was like a skinny little journalist, and he was just very friendly, and he kept using the word friends. Like, he was like, we met backstage and we're friends now. Like, we had a good conversation, and like, he kept using the word friendly and friend. And like,
I gotcha.
Each time he did it, it like hit her icy, like her weird, like stony affect, like an ice pick. Like, it just like, and she like softened, like she like chilled the fuck out in this weird way. And that is not what I'd be doing. That was a different kind of
circle. Right.
I appreciate discourse in like unexpected dynamics. But anyway, let's.
I think people are seeing what we mean by we birdwalk.
Say that again.
I think people are seeing what we meant by we birdwalk in conversation. I don't know if we said that on the air.
Oh.
But we kind of like jump from thing to thing and circle back.
It's funny how you said it that way. Then yes. Well, and also, let's keep on going. This is
right. Next bullet point.
I mean, it's just a lot, because the thing is like,
can I talk about the white lady that was shot in the neck?
Yeah, because we told them so about hellish shit. Like, I told all these people. You told all these people.
So. Thank God, you just reminded me.
Episode.
You reminded me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what's up, Cassandra?
Well, first off, we told you so.
We did.
In the honor of in homage to Debbie Reynolds, who her and Carrie Fisher are two of my favorite people ever on the planet. I will now do a quick rendition of "Told You So, Told You So, Told You, Told You, Told You So." Way back,
Sister Mary HotTakes over here.
In 2016, when Trump won, one of the first things I said to anybody that would listen, and I've got written proof to prove it, is that Trump is an agent of chaos, perhaps a perfect agent of chaos, which is scary. And that what he was going to do was, to use the buzzword of the moment, foment the white wing gun nuts.
The white wing. Oh, you just, where did that come from? Did you just find that, or have you been holding on to that?
That's one of those things that it's always been in my head. Like capital W white is another thing of mine that I'm like, they're capital W white. Come on, I'm trying to be lowercase. If I ever do suddenly act capital W, tell me, hit me, remind me.
Heavens.
But so, well, see, living again in South Carolina, you see the dichotomy. You see lowercase white people and you see capital W white people. And what you kind of want to assume is that capital W is like Jeff Bezos rich, but it baffles you when they're like meth smoking, really poor people. And you're like, do you get what voting against your own interest means?
They don't. They're high.
What? I've never been that high. I got pretty fucking high, Manny.
Fair enough.
So, clean for 7 years. Thank you very much. But so anyway.
Hey.
But so, what part of the onion were we on?
Grab anything. Grab anything. It doesn't matter.
So
we only have so much time.
So yeah, the white wing.
There we were.
Is he fomented the white wing, got them all stirred up. Even though, if you go back, and I've said this many a time, and I'll say it again, when you go back and on the first like major shooting or whatever the fuck it was, we have so many. Thank you, America. But at the same point, don't give away the Second Amendment. That's that like crazy line of walk where it's like,
we have two hands to juggle the nuance, y'all.
Exactly, nuance. Thank you,
nuance.
Friend,
if you can't carry it all, share some nuance with a friend. If you can't handle all the nuance,
it's true.
When it can.
That's what community is for, to help you carry the burden. It takes a village to not fuck up the baby.
Oh my God. My God. Sister Mary HotTakes. I can't.
This is what I do. I sit around.
I know.
And just say things, and sometimes
I've literally been trying to get you on the air for months. I'm so happy right now.
It's true.
I know. Okay.
I'm also kind of ephemeral.
I mean, yes. Continue.
More of a concept, really.
You have graduated into becoming a disembodied voice in the internet, and it's wonderful. Like, that's
God. The personalities in my head feel so seen right now. But anyway, like, yes, give a voice to the disembodied. We matter too. DID pride, which is not that wasn't a facetious joke. That was actually DID pride. Way to go.
Yes.
But so I know you can't tell sometimes. Let me tell you a little bitchy story side note real quick.
Let's go anywhere.
Okay, so
we drag these people. This is a honey trap. We were like, we're going to talk about some shit that's relevant.
Well, I said I told you so about. Hey, we say I told you so about a lot of things, so it's a broad fucking subject.
We sure did, and honestly, just sit tight. We'll get back to it. You know, that's
it's
all interesting shit, and it's
don't worry. The trouble isn't going anywhere.
Oh, it's not. It's right outside.
It's just going to take another phase and keep on going. But anyway, so until we
Trump's on Parler. Trump moved. They shut down his Twitter, so he moved over.
That's a whole segment.
Trump moved to the white wing version of Twitter.
It's true.
/Facebook. He went to the racist social media platform where he is currently being welcomed with open arms, and none of us are looking because nobody's got profiles over there, y'all. Like,
this is what happened. Anything because I'm not.
It's very bad.
Look, I have sifted through many a fucking bad conspiracy theory for, I would say you people, but honestly, it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say as Parler is like, that's my line. That's where I'm like, no, I will follow the flat earth thing all the way to the point where I'm like, oh shit, this does get Nazi, because it does.
Mm-hmm. You were the one that told me about that after I put out the first episode where I was like, I'll just sit and chill and listen to flat earthers. They ain't a big deal. That's some harmless bullshit. And like 2 days later, you were like, no, that's Nazi shit. And I was like, fuck, hell.
That's exactly the same way I found it out.
Where can you get a good fucking conspiracy these days that isn't Nazi shit when you get to the end of the rabbit hole? Like,
I was going to say that Jeffree Star and Kanye West fucked, but Jeffree Star's a Nazi.
He's a fucking Nazi. Damn it. Like,
I know.
Yeah, no, and that is a good conspiracy theory. That didn't happen.
No, I just don't see it. I really don't.
No, just Jeffree Star was playing into it like the fucking goon he is.
Well, he
bitch.
Came out denying it, but if you notice what he did with that, and again, this is like, okay, so someone told a lie about him, and he now turned it into a video that's gonna make him fucking millions. I don't know about you, but if I was Jeffree Star, I'd start a rumor I fucked Kanye West. But
yeah, I mean,
so.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like how if you wanted to institute a kind of upside down land type of fascism, you might start a lie about that also. Well,
that brings me back to wrap it back around. If you look at the way Trump fomented the white way, to get looping back,
bird walking.
And then when that first shooting happened, the first thing he said was, "Take the guns, ask questions later."
That is what he said.
And all of his followers did that amazing thing they do, where they only hear the dog whistles they want to hear, and they don't see the truth before them. Which I guess isn't just for abusive relationships with lovers anymore. It's now for government.
It's for a whole damn country.
Yeah.
And their whole damn government. Yes.
It's true, though.
I mean, there's a lot of elements about this that for a long time have been clearly looking to me like dynamics of a macrocosm abusive relationship.
Let's take away the faces of the presidency and let's just use the word president, right? Like this, like.
Well, hey, let's throw the accent a little different and use the word president.
Okay.
If you will.
I will. And so the president is a figurehead that, while ever changing, is the face of this two-party system, which for all intents and purposes is like a two-headed snake that wants to eat its own tail, but you get to decide every year which head bites you.
I guess. We're the tail?
Well, that's not, no, to be honest with you, my real metaphor that I use for that is that they both want to rape you. One will give you a roofie and send you flowers. The other will punch you in the face, fuck you hard, and leave you.
Yeah, okay. With it.
Either way, you're going to be horribly traumatized and walk away from it wishing that shit had never happened. But hey, you got flowers.
Ah, man. Fucking liberals.
It's true. That's where I can't hang with that kind of label. People, because okay, I hold a lot of what would be called liberal views. But, okay, capital L liberal, because it's now become a they demographic-y thing. Instead of being, I am a person who holds lowercase l liberal views, it's now become, they are a liberal. Instead, what's very, the tearing apart and the way that they've, the way this country is so divided right now is not at all an accident, if you ask me. I truly think that we are being walked to a tighter cage for our free-range slavery. Where, the same way now you have to have your real ID with your RFID chip in it, that all that shit. If you want to travel, they're heading towards, you're probably going to have to get your shots if you want to travel. So it all is coming back to, where's your walking papers, comrade?
Right, which is so crazy how often we said that in 2011. It was like the DHS had moved into the plaza. They had that office up top, and they were flying those
all
weird,
the friendly people that came up with phones around their neck with their cameras on. They just wanted to talk.
The jumpsuit dudes with the fucking gray jumpsuit. You know what I found out?
Are you seriously wearing a 1994?
You know what's crazy? Those jumpsuit dudes weren't actually a thing. They were a bunch of Spectrum guys that came down kind of awkwardly, and they dressed like that's just a thing. I know one of them. I met him later circularly, and he actually helped me a lot with some stuff a few ways
really
over.
It's frustrating when you think a German art house band is a plant.
It was, but there were so many opportunities for us to misinterpret somebody's behavior as being either malevolent
or... You
or...
just nailed Occupy in a nutshell.
I mean, at a certain point, did I not start saying
the interpersonal relationship of the occupants was very
I literally had a moment where I was like, you know what? I do have a different agenda than an awful lot of people here. I'm a fucking plant with my own agenda, and I came here on my own mission as my own agent, and I'm not sure exactly what this group is, but it's certainly leaderless, and okay, let me kind of move through the world with that perspective.
What I realized was that I was there for the anarchy of love, and some people were there for similar things. Some people were there for more political things. Some people were there because it was a fun college credit. Some people were there.
Oh, hell. Some people were there because it was a fun college credit is a narrative that needs to be addressed, because those are the people
mainly the people that ran the fucking meetings every night, and they would make all these decisions, and then we would have to live with them and pretty much do the opposite to survive.
Yes, and the people who've made all the documentaries that everyone is finding to be the narrative, and they're calling it a protest, and they're really charging these words that sap out
what's really happening. It was not a movement which occasionally held protests.
Yeah, I mean, even still, it's like a lot of those things were marches and not actually protests. It was like a march. A march can be a protest, but a march can also be an invitation. And so we had like the camp going on. There were times we'd have a whole march just to go through and do like outreach and be like, "Hey, y'all should come down to the camp." We literally were not protesting anything, but we had speakers out. We had people in mass, and we were coming through the streets, taking up the whole, like all lanes, and doing what would be perceived if the optics would all be a protest. If that's all that we're going to do. Go ahead.
The moment that really encapsulates what Occupy was for me and the good part of Occupy, was the night that it was getting kind of chilly, but we were still able to wear cute shit. Or at least that's the way I remember it, because I, remember things based on what I was wearing. And so I wasn't quite beyond bag lady yet.
I was just thinking about her. I was just thinking about your beyond bag lady look.
Yeah, I didn't have to layer quite as intensely.
Yeah, no, we had Occupy fashion show never happened.
Well, how about when they gave our clothes back to us without telling us they were giving our clothes back to us? Remember that?
How did that go again?
They had raided. Okay, so that first raid where they came in, they took the medical supplies, our clothes, like anything in the tents, they confiscated to like probably go through and whatnot.
Right.
What they found out from me was that I was a Kurt Vonnegut fan. And I needed those rolling papers. But okay, so they raided us. They took that first raid. I believe it was like October 10th or no, it was somewhere. I used to know the dates of those, weirdly enough, because they were.
Yeah. It used to be like a specific type of schedule in my mind. It lasted for years. Yeah.
I kind of lost it along the travails. I lost the exact dates and timestamps in my mind on certain things. And then other things are just kind of colors. But this thing I'm talking about now is one thing that will always be vivid.
Yes.
So it was a late night. You were there. You were around somewhere. And do you remember the lady who she had a place somewhere? It was more like a squat kind of a situation. And her husband would come around. She had dyed blonde hair. We called her Mama.
Yes.
Okay. So how I met Mama, besides just hello around the camp, was she came into the camp after that raid. I think it was a second raid. And she was talking about how she had just been raped by a gang of police officers.
I remember that.
And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm pretty sure she was on, I want to say meth, to be honest, but I can't really. I knew it was a stimulant, and I knew that she was very, agitated and keyed.
That sounds right.
So she comes in saying this, and she's fighting everybody, won't let anybody come near. And so finally, Hug a Chicken is like, you need to talk to Blake. And she's like, no men, fuck men. And she's like, I get you. I totally understand, but he's really not one. And the more you talk to him, you'll get it. Don't let the pronoun fool you. And so she lets me into the tent. And for about 30 minutes or so, she knocks me, pushes me around, yells at me, is very aggressive with me. And being an abuse survivor, it kind of dawned on me that what she was doing was testing me to see if she would allow me to not at all as badly as she had been done, possibly, allegedly. I don't get whatever word you use there. The story she told me and the way it came out, I'll honestly always believe it's true. I say allegedly because I've been trained to. It
is very American.
But Western. It's right. You don't want to get sued.
No, I mean, like, it can be assumed. We should stop saying that because it should always be assumed to take everything and set it down before you figure out whether you're shoving it in your truth boxes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, people do that as an excuse to be like, maybe for certain things.
That's part of what
the right shit.
In that moment, especially like looking back on it now, I do it. But in that moment, I was just there with her and I just wrote it out until finally she literally had me on the ground and she lifted up her dress and she said, look, this is what a raped vagina looks like. And that's the point where I've said allegedly, but honestly, something happened to this woman. I don't know if it was truly police officers that did it because, you know how intense I don't know. All I know is that something had happened to this woman and she was fucking hurt. Well, we wound up talking for like 2 hours. And when it was done, I called her mama. And that, to me, is what Occupy was. It was people helping people with what they had, which what was mainly love. And then people would see our love and they donated things to us so we could eat. They donated clothes and tents and all that stuff. But when I look back at it, it was the love that we were projecting. When I say we, I mean everyone that was there every day, truly making that place work. Yeah. That's what it was. And it was trying to figure out where you could help in the situation. Because again, as a white person, there's certain things that I will never understand the same way there's stuff about gay people that straight people will never understand, or the same way, like it's just that it's called life. And that's the beauty of it, is that we're supposed to somehow, even with our differences, work together as a community. And
that's the intersection.
Exactly. It's the intersection of it all. And that's people get scared of that word because it's become so.
It's how Tapestry works. I don't get it. People just want to get weird about the wrong things and not get weird about like other things. And I'm like, why are you letting that just elephant shit all over the fucking room all the time?
Well, that's like, okay, not to wrap it back to the, they stormed the Capitol, told you so.
Let's go ahead, because we told them so.
Okay, so when Donald Trump was fomenting that white wing, as you've heard me say, he knew full well what he was doing. Because you get the gun nuts stirred up, you get them to do something crazy, and then you villainize everyone. Yep. Why this reminds me so much of Occupy is because that's fucking Occupy's like major events in a nutshell. We're having a fucking march to shut down the port. People from out of town came in and the agenda looked totally different on the newspaper. So
people from Olympia, Washington came.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Olympia, fucked our house
Washington up. Came and shit all over our living room.
Yeah.
They ripped our carpenter's roads out of their fucking hands.
Okay. I was going to say before, my first thought back when I was driving down the road and I heard that this whole Capitol thing was going on, my first thought before anything else, and this might just tell you where I'm at, what kind of person I am, but my first thought was, well, great. And now it's going to be harder for when we really have to do that.
Right. I mean, that's a good reason to stage one. There's a lot of things that I'm like, that's a good reason to, like, I can think of exactly why. And with the way that information's flying, disinformation's flying, I'm like, well, shit, anything's possible. Now they really flipped the game board. This is what I was worried about, flipping the fucking game board.
Part of where, again, with Trump and the amazing agent of chaos he is, look at how with Trump came fake news, alternative facts,
Right.
all those things that basically mean bullshit.
That was him. That was him sticking his fingers under the game board and wiggling it. And he just flipped it. He just flipped it. And people are thinking like he moved over to Parler, and then apparently Parler is like getting removed from Google and Apple stores and all that. And that creates
it's MySpace. People know it.
Okay. You think that they really won't pull together programmer people and do the things that need to be done to create an intranet of some kind so they can keep communicating digitally? Like you're going to have to be chasing them eternally through technology development. Chasing them eternally through a technology development at this point. I just really want to make that very clear because people seem to be celebrating early.
It should be made very clear that that's what's happening.
You can't chase somebody that wants to run through technology and has capacity to do that. And they have been disrupted and they feel threatened, and that is exactly what they're doing. I just had something occur to me where I think people think that because I'm like I don't see how Trump can be a fascist, because a fascist has to be right wing, and far right is about preserving tradition and institution. And I looked this up for the last episode. It was very frustrating to find that information because Google used to put it on the home, but like when you search for it, it would show that definition. When you look up what is a fascist, it would show right wing and what right wing was, and that it involves a state and institution. And when I looked up details about right wing, it wasn't difficult to find that information. Now, when I look up what is a fascist, it's easier for me to click on the wiki page and get blown out with trendy hot buzzwords like Nazi, which is being applied inappropriately in a lot of circumstances right now, and not applied where it needs to be applied in circumstances right now, because certain people have certain kind of skin tones and fucking vaginas, and they're running all over the place, running for presidencies, acting like they have any. I can't even believe people are fucking falling for the disingenuous shit coming out of this bitch, and then being surprised why people are running around following what seems to me to be. I actually don't want a conspiracy theory on any of this. I'm feeling really jumpy about my own brain doing any assumptive.
I get you.
Oh, it's sketchy. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
I don't think it is a conspiracy theory to acknowledge the fact that Joe Biden sounds like your recovering alcoholic grandfather when he speaks. You know, pickled, but trying
to infantilizing a bit.
Hold on.
You know, okay,
but
sorry.
So that he's, that. And that who's really going to be the power behind this is Harris. I see Harris being like a Cheney to Bush. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and it's not, people are comfortable with that. Like people who should be afraid of her are supporting her shirts.
And that's the genius of Agent of Chaos, Donald Trump. He gets you to agree that it is better to have the lady who has a straight, like you can look at the record of not really what we would call our friend. We'll put it that way, right?
Oh my God. I'm looking at Frankie's picture right now. Can you try that one again? He's looking back at me.
Put it a different way then, since you're looking at Frankie's picture.
Yeah.
A person who is complicit in the good word for slip that makes me feel smart. The slipping of a murderer, the collusion.
There's the word.
Because certain numbers, demographics, and things meant more to Harris than what I put together as following justice. Frankie was robbed of that, and you have every right to feel every emotion you feel about that.
Let's be even more clear about what the reality is. There's a white woman who killed a black teenager.
Yep.
This white woman's father was an FBI agent at the time, and she had a knife that was beyond the scale of a legal knife to carry. Left the scene of the crime after murdering him to clean up and came back, was charged with nothing by Harris specifically. There was another child also stabbed and not killed who was in foster care and she was never given any money. As far as my research went, I was able to find information on the case and it was all dismissed and thrown out. And like, that was a result also of the murderer not getting criminally charged, because cases affect each other. They can argue evidence. If one case gets thrown out, they can argue that as evidence in another.
Right.
All like, this person had medical bills that were not covered, that were all a part of this case. Like, there were consequences to this shit that played out as capital being power being moved, and white supremacy reigned supreme on that game. I got to see that one little play. I got real deep access to, that my heart's attached to, because I think people get it twisted and they're like, oh, you're so sad. And like, I am not sad.
I would not
like,
describe
that is,
you as
you know, I just want to be clear. I know, you know, but I need this like real, like, it's very serious right now. I was talking about this shit, like we've been saying, we told y'all so, different ways over. And this is one spot with Harris as a whole phenomena and movement and thing, the K-Hive, how everything is gone. I've just been like, what the fuck is happening? It's the most significant gaslight, I think.
Well, it's kind of, and I hate to say this because, again, told you so kind of thing, but it reminds me in a way of Obama, in that everyone was like, he's our black president. And I was like, yes, you're correct. But he's also your president. Or I'm sorry, your president. And
everybody should say it like that from now on. It won't matter.
Well, honestly, my brain goes to Poseidon, and then I like ADD off on a whole like Greek mythology. Ooh.
Heavens.
I can't help it. It's just the way God made me. But so, Obama was a president, and we liked, that's what I was saying earlier, how we like to try to make presidents these individual like characters of their own, when really they're just the figurehead of keeping the ship moving steadily towards the goal. And there's a lot of, that's how QAnon is so fucked right now, is because they thought they knew what the goal was.
They just got played like pawns, I think.
I would agree. I would say
that was the big like pawn like sacrifice so far. There's probably more to come.
Well, did you hear about how Trump basically threw them all under the bus?
No, what?
So, and this is one that I've actually tried to find, and in my, I have had a busy day. But I was trying to find this thing, and so I might not speak too heavily on this one until I've actually seen it. But I've read about it, and I've heard from other news sources about how Trump, so not his first thing where he was all like, you're special, thank you, go home. But when he said go home, it was like, you're special, thank you, go home. It was very, it's always like that whole stand by and stand back. Like, come on, bitch, we know what you saying. Just like, that's what's so funny to me sometimes about like the racist dog whistles, is like they think that only racists can hear them. And it's like, no, I see what the fuck you're saying. I see the message. I see it being sent, and I see it being motherfucking received. Like, that's called it. Like, that's what the fuck. He's literally gaslighting these people. Especially because, like, he would never come out and go, hey, that QAnon thing? Oh, yeah, that's me and the boys. Never did that shit. He would just do these little winks and nods. Things that if you're already in a conspiracy frame of mind, you can link together because you're looking for a link together. And then you wind up where we are, where a bunch of people thought that they were about to go stage a coup. And we can try to step around it if we want to, but it's the truth. in a lot of people's minds.
They thought they were trying to, but they weren't actually doing. I mean,
Please tell me you watched the thing I sent you with the girl who's like, I got maced in the face.
Yeah,
they maced me.
Yeah, I watched mine.
That so reminded me of the people at Occupy that would dumbly run at cops and then get stunned when they were fucked up. I'm not talking about
I know what you mean.
Scott, what's his last name?
Scott Olsen, who got shot in the head with a gas canister.
I was fucking
he was a Marine.
2 feet away from that. He was standing there. They hit him. He went down. And then I watched as Ernest and a bunch of other medical people, I remember seeing Ernest for sure, running towards him. As they got to help him, they then lobbed another flashbang at the medics, which hit Scott in the head. Like, that's not Scott asking for it. The lady running into the U.S. Capitol building with fucking a Trump cape on, like that was somehow some kind of Harry Potter invisibility shit or something. No, that bitch had it coming.
Oh, man.
And for honestly, every motherfucking black person who has been killed and murdered by the police, save for loose cigarettes that were fucking theirs. Don't get me wrong. Any loss of life is usually sad. I hate for her family that they have to go through this. She ran into the fucking U.S. Capitol like she was a goddamn Avenger. She got shot in the neck. That's what I call dying by natural fucking circumstances.
See, I've heard she got shot in the chest. I've heard she got shot in the neck. This is very similar to we talked earlier about how we were both present at an event for a killing, a murder, and a shooting, and that also was I was there. And I saw something that is not what other people saw. Like my memory of where and actually at this point, I am aware of bizarre things that have happened with my visual memory where the bullet hole placements have changed in my recollection. Mm. But I know what they were before that change because it was like they changed in my mind. And then I got caught up having a conversation with somebody that corrected that. Mm. And then I was like, weird that I did that. And
it's only in the last year that I finally have talked to someone professional about seeing all of that. And I did not realize how much I was carrying that until I really opened up about it. I believe you. Oh my God. Was there, but we all sat around the table the night before he was murdered with Coyote, and we talked about life. Literally, we talked about life, and then that whole day, if you remember, I kept saying, "I feel murder in the air. We need to get to Snow Park. I feel murder in the air."
I absolutely do. I remember being very upset. I was supposed to get my free massage that day because we had free.
Yes, you're right. I remember that.
Remember, they'd been asking me for weeks. They were like, you work hella hard here. You need to come in and get a massage. And I was like, okay, I'll do it later all the time. I was like putting it off to keep doing picking up trash or counseling somebody or de-escalating some kind of conflict or washing dishes, cooking, whatever. And then, I was trying to rush and help y'all break down and then hopefully squeeze in a massage. But I felt it in the air too. I really, my mind though,
as it happened.
Man, I really thought that for a second I was going to be able to do it all.
I think you had got, don't we all? Didn't we almost have? So, that day, I know I have to reel back in, Blake. Don't go down the jukebox.
We probably should just break into song.
Oh, that's you should just be aware that at some moment my brain is going to attach to a song lyric out of the moment. And even though we're talking about something hella serious, I will out loud sing Honey by Mariah Carey for no fucking reason.
I mean, we haven't had a musical episode this season yet. We had one last season, but
let me fix that.
Yeah. Okay.
Kicks just keep getting harder to find. Sorry. There's no reason to bring Paul Revere and the Raiders into this. Although, ironically, Paul Revere is a funny name to say at this time. Just for some reason.
Oh, hell.
But so, let's see. To get back to the first I told you so point we were going to talk about. The thing we keep looping back to. Some people fucking ran up into the Capitol.
They did.
The more I've looked at it, the more I've heard certain rumors, and I will only call them rumors, that the police had a lot of friends in the crowd, if you know what I mean. I'm again shocking you, I'm sure. And
wait, you don't say. Hold on, it took me a minute.
I know.
You don't say.
Take a breath.
You don't say. Okay.
I'm just.
I had to catch my hat. My hat flew right off my head.
I mean, can I just tell you one of my favorite images of the moment? Or of that day, and I know, God forgive me, but it's the truth.
I'm on bated breath.
Was when they're waving the Blue Lives flag with the fucking black flag with the blue line, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking waving that shit as they storm the Capitol. So, who would you think might know some people or be friends, or say, who would you think might, I don't know, react the way you're supposed to, maybe? Especially if you were, say, more on the, because understand, if they had gotten into the U.S. Capitol thing, these two girls, actually I believe it was 4 girls, I might be mistaken, 4 girls I do believe, had the presence of mind of when they were getting quickly fucking taken out of the place, they picked up the votes and brought them with them. If they had not picked up those votes and those people came in and had gotten a hold of the 2 big red, these are what we're certifying votes, that's where serious things could have been gone. Hey, wait a minute. We don't have the you know what I'm saying? They could have really fucked up that election.
But what actually made this, hold on, because the last episode we concluded that this is the most boring wannabe coup ever.
Oh, it is.
And so that actually would have made it exciting if that had fucking happened. I also want to say with the Blue Lives Matter, like running up in the so that whole thing, to me, what I smell on that is like there's the narrative they're trying to say, oh, Antifa was dressed like us and doing certain things. And I'm like, okay, what if it was actually fascists dressed as fascists doing weird shit to throw the narrative off and be like, look at these crazy MAGA people? Because my thing is, I'm like, the police state is coming now from the blue wave administration early in the form of FBI raids. People are doing this thing where they're like, we're not snitching because we weren't involved. And I'm like, but what about the fact that the FBI be doing things where they're like, what about Breonna Taylor? Who was like, it was not the FBI, but it's the same kind of like faux pas, a little work faux pas where they just run into the wrong place and shoot the wrong people.
Got the wrong address.
The next door neighbor, the kids, you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing anything that useful.
Hey, let's go back to the woman that walked into the black man's apartment and shot him because she thought he broke into his own apartment that she claimed to think was hers.
Yes, that whatever that shit. I mean, like anytime there's something that weird, I never will understand why people like, there's something that twists my gut when people start using phrases like, you know, it just seems like good old boys kinds of terminologies about like, we'll get it done this way, or like this, finally, our team is the winning team. And I'm like, but there's so much nuance and chaos is happening. And wait, let's deconstruct chaos for a second, because I think that word is also misinterpreted a lot. A lot, right? And especially when it's paired with the notion of order.
I refer to weaponized chaos.
Well, I mean, it's like as an agent of chaos. Let's talk specifically and real holistically and not throw power towards the oppressor too much. Okay. As an agent of chaos, like, you know, his presence in my life has infused a lot of activity. I'm very electrified, if you will. You might say activated. You might say evolving, developing, becoming my ultimate form. You know what I'm saying? So chaos is not a problem in nature.
Destructive force. Yeah.
Chaos creates order, and order creates chaos. Eventually, they tip each other different directions at different times, but they interplay. And I had a conversation with a bunch of people earlier today. We were getting into the notion of nature versus nurture, and I had to rip that away because they are not in a fight. They are dancing with each other. And that is a concept that comes from Eugene and is going to be coming up in the episode that's airing on Sunday.
Awesome.
I don't know if I'll get this one out before or after that, but probably at the same fucking time. And so the thing is like, it's not like, I feel like there's like a fatalism that comes with like the hopelessness of realizing what reality is and how things are going to be harder than we ever thought that they might be. Yeah. But it's not that bad, I think. Like, I don't want to like dismiss that it is that bad. When I
try to lean into pronoia instead of paranoia. Instead of it's all against me, it's all going to work out for me if I just get the fuck out of my own way.
That's right. Maybe is the thing. Yes, with that attitude, maybe. Right? There it is.
That's my sentence is that's one of my go-to sentences is not with that attitude. Whenever someone's like, we can't do blah, 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 I'm like, not with that attitude.
Right. And okay. So wait, circling back to like what Occupy meant, like to me, with that attitude, maybe, I think is like the slogan of Occupy, with all that cadence and inflection and everything. Like it is possible, maybe if we try. Right. Yeah. And so it wasn't about, it's like people thought we were down there to push back and fight and argue about something. Whatever the thing is that's going on now, like, I don't know, but I think this is what they thought was happening then. And by they, to devague my they, I mean, like normcore plebeian mainstream news watching, Starbucks drinking, like, I don't know. I'm reaching now. But like, because I will go.
You're really talking about the don't burst my bubble people.
That's the ones. The Olympia, Washington people who came down, it ruined Occupy. I'm deeply concerned about what they might be up to these days. I guess, like, just what are they doing with narratives? What are they doing with their energy?
I'm nodding right now and just thinking on that.
And that's just an example. I'm just like picking on them to show an example because I can't imagine every possible school of thought.
Well, let's be real here for a second. I've been pretty hard on the morons who stormed the Capitol. But I'm gonna take it easy for a second, and I'm gonna put myself back in my Occupy shoes. Okay, and I mean like really. And in my Occupy shoes, I remember being told by at least 3 houseless people how they were paid $100 and given a bottle of the liquor of their choice to cause as much destruction within the camp as possible.
Yes, they were.
I remember how the police ultimately, to make sure that our stuff got, like that it all fell apart, they started turning off the street lights around the camp.
They turned off the clocks too. There's 2 clock towers that you can.
That's always when an attack was coming. That's how you knew.
It was weird. it shut them off at different times. So you look up like compulsively to see what time it is. And like, yep.
A lot of little mind games.
Yeah.
And
weird
so, with myself now in my Occupy shoes, I do have to wonder what kind of shit like that happened to them.
Because shit like that always happens.
But here's the thing. I think the homeless man with the bottle of liquor was Donald Trump in this case.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that.
And that's what I mean by the perfect agent of chaos. The kind of person that can fuck everything up just enough that it makes it easier for them to shore up and make the changes that they want to make without making it seem like, okay, the same way that if you really want to get upset about the mark of the beast and you're all like, oh God, we can't do that. That's the mark of the beast.
Oh heavens.
And you're talking about it from your cell phone that you keep attached to your head, like the mark of the beast.
Yes.
And that's when you realize that they didn't like force you into the mark of the beast. They get you to pay for the upgrade of the mark of the beast every time a new fucking version comes out.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. Oh, we just got to church. I didn't realize that we were doing church. I forgot. Sister Mary HotTakes. Preach, bitch.
What I do.
God.
What do you expect when you literally, if I was going to tear apart a nation myself and I was just going to set out to do some shit, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm bored and it's a Tuesday and I'm mad that I'm sober. I would pick at the oldest wounds that I know about, because the oldest wounds are usually the deepest wounds that really fucking hurt. And what really fucking hurts, and I can tell you this like as a lowercase w white person, it sucks to know that the country I'm standing in and like calling home was stolen and built on the backs of slaves who were then further oppressed until I'm waiting for it to end myself.
Oh shit.
So,
that was okay. I was waiting for your sentence to end, and heavens.
There really is no end, though, is there?
No, the poetry of it, the poetry of that. That was a great performance of a fucking thing that is happening just ongoing.
And it is ongoing, and it's fucking terrible. And it's happening in all these little different ways. And so, therefore, it affects shit in different ways. Let me tell you, living in South Carolina right now, last 2 days, I've been having to run up and down the roads a lot. So I have eaten fast food. I don't know if you can tell from my demeanor, but strangers don't exist to me. They are just friends I have not made yet. Family I haven't met. And the energy from people of color, and I mean that on like your full spectrum, they are looking at white people with a side eye right now in South Carolina. Like, are you one of them ones? And since I'm the kind of an androgynous bitch that has a big ass beard, but I'm wearing tights and a big fucking flowy top, they're trying, especially like if I'm in a car, they can't see the full flames of my faggotry. And I turned down my music. So how were they to know, that I was just singing my heart out to Laura Branigan's Gloria? Otherwise known as waving your gay card. And so I have felt a side eye, and that shit stings me because I'm literally like, not who wants, like, don't be, no, we're on the same side. But it also brings up my old wounds of how when working in Oakland for the Human Rights Campaign, I did have many black ladies mainly tell me, oh, honey, I totally appreciate your cause. You're going to hell, though.
That's one of my favorites.
It really is, where it's like, oh, you honey, you need your rights. That's just obvious. But you're going to hell. And you're like, oh, thank you. That means so much. It's good to know that I have your vote and also your eternal damnation. It's a gift. And again, these are the nuanced conversations that people have avoided. We thought we could have a black president without talking about everything that came along with that.
Man, see, it's frustrating because it's basic, simple people that get to have. So when people get all this power at an early age, they just have comfort and they get to seal themselves off in having routines and regiments that they get to worship and celebrate and really center. And then they become centrism. Like, that's what it is. And it's pushing everything relevant. Everything that has a need, a loud need, just gets shoved off to the side. Everything that it demands address. It demands like inclusion in the narrative. And they're just like, no, we're just going to be a giant potato.
That's
like
true, yes.
A giant uncooked potato. We're just going to spread out. Yep. Just like, it doesn't, I don't get it. Like, I don't see how it serves them, except that they're so like tumorous or whatever. Like, they're just so like, I don't know what the fear could possibly be. Like, doesn't it hurt to be that, like, to be uncomfortably big, to be like bigger than you're meant to be? Like, it hurts.
I think you're forgetting how easy it is to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's fair enough, but like, what can be done when like they're in a lot of control? Like, okay, so with the technology of like the block feature, people are literally able to be like, I'm open-minded while actively being the opposite of.
Right. While literally making they're nailing the boards to their echo chamber and being like, I am just so open.
Someone that I deeply care about recently blocked me on Twitter and then posted a poll that I saw because I have another fucking account about me and things that I said in this episode and the last episode about I'm confused about why people are saying Trump is a fascist and they're not concerned about, they're saying we're willing to accept fascism light. And I'm like, no, Trump is maybe bizarro land fascism if he wants to make believe it. I'm not saying he's not dangerous.
He's a fascist the way Alana's saying about irony. It's you can. I mean, it's like the
It's not quite accurate.
Like, use of fascist, but it's not your like textbook fascist,
right? If you really want to recreate a new colloquial term, like we could be saying things like it's red MAGA. It's new. It's about, I mean, so here's the thing I thought of earlier today. Perhaps, yes, okay, they're fascists. If that's the case, then the argument has to be that capitalism and like all of the things that like celebrity reality TV kind of represents is what America's country, that's what the nation is.
That's
right?
Our main export. Our main export is celebrity.
That's not what the nation is. That's not the state. That's not the country. So if that's not the argument, if people aren't going to argue that it's actually our law, that capitalism is our law, these people can't be fascists because the behavior of Donald Trump himself and his followers as his followers cannot align with the term fascism as it stands with far right, meaning preservation of conservatism and tradition and institutions as they stand.
Whoa,
so I argued, I just brought that up again because I got blocked for that by someone who swears that she's open-minded, a white woman.
Wait, what? You got
That's what I was blocked for. That's what I was blocked for because I was talking about the fact I was being mean. I was talking about other shit, but that was the thing that really got me like alienated was that I was saying, don't just throw your wind towards this other side, quote unquote, kind of concept if your argument is that you're worried about fascism.
Okay. You have just described in a nutshell what makes me the most frustrated with our two-party system.
Right.
Who are we pretending? Like, okay, I know that it's fun to joke and think that, well, since I'm blue and you're red, that means we're different. But when you really look at the trajectory of where the parties are going, they both want to take you to hell. One has a this route. The other has a this route. One has a roofie. One has a mean boner. And then the real fucked up thing is that sometimes they switch.
Well, okay, wait. So, yeah, because there's a lot of conservatism and liberalism in Republicans and Democratic like people, the blue wave and the red wave kind of people. And then, like,
it's because we're people. We're not fucking colored.
Right. Well, it's like I'm noticing more.
Well, we are colored, but we're not colored. You know what I'm saying?
The loud voices coming from the people that I'm like, oh, blue wave, interesting. Oh, red wave, interesting. The louder voices from the blue side seem to be more conservative and tradition oriented. They're like, oh no, the country's getting out of control. The loud voices on the red side are like, we want this weird thing we just created to stay and stick and become weirder and bigger, right? And so that's when I'm like, that's a lot of liberalism coming from. That's like very artful as far as the institution of what our nation and state would look like and act like. And it's very conservative to be like, hold on, hold the reins. We want to kind of not have things fly out of control. You see what I'm saying? So it's like shit has escalated and we can't even use the terms applicably the way people think that we should. Because they're like, well, white supremacy is going to equal Nazi, is going to equal fascism, is going to equal, that's what I don't like. That's what I'm afraid of.
The equals is equal to is equal to is equal to. That shit, the further you get away from that first equal sign.
Oh my God.
The more like undistilled it is until you get down to the place where you're using paintbrushes to try to do color by number pieces. But you're using like big, huge swaths, and you're like, I just don't get why it doesn't look right.
Well, it's like letting the demons in your own head play a telephone game with each other and then inform you based on that.
Yes.
Like, it's got nothing to do with anything. I can do it too. And that's why I'm able to be like, hey, everybody stop. Like, I can really fucking do it if I want to.
That's why part of why I dove deeply into conspiracy theories is because I have a brain that will hear a bit of a conspiracy theory and extrapolate the rest of it on my own. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until I have I'm thinking far too much about something I know the first two goddamn words about. So I mean,
that's because we're storytellers. Hold on, let's talk about something, because a lot of people are artists with no canvas or like performers with no stage, and so we act out in our real lives. Right. And we are very stressed out with a lot of data. And that's the kind of shit we volley around and play with. That's what we jock on. Right. Yeah. So that's what conspiracy theorism really is. We're like performing out concept in our minds. People take it too seriously internally and externally. And it really needs to be more like IRL fanfic, period. Like, it's fine. We're gonna. Like,
that's the truth. As far as like that IRL fanfic thing, I agree 3,000%.
Word.
They're the only conspiracy theory, quote unquote, that has really been like, you know, that I will like go like, no, I'm hanging my hat on that one. Actually, we'll go down with that shit. Is the Dave McGowan Weird Scenes book.
That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a conspiracy. That's like the Operation Paperclip.
There you go.
That's not a conspiracy theory. We have evidence that the Department of Defense and Hollywood have been hand in hand working together with Frank Zappa and all of that. We know this. That is not a conspiracy theory, and I won't have it. Not on this show. Not in my house.
I get you. And that's where, okay.
What is going on? Professor, please tell us facts at this point. Yeah. If you like.
See, that's part of where, and that right there, what you just said, back when we were first talking about me and you podcasting together, And I started researching more for to talk about Amanda Bynes, which falls into conspiracy quite quickly.
Girl, I forgot. We're gonna have to reel this in. A future episode on Amanda Bynes.
It reels back in. It actually, I think it's going to dovetail.
I believe it.
So to start, that's where I started. I've always had my discernment thing, but that's where my discernment kicked in, because that was also right around the time of like the Epstein thing, like all of that shit.
Yeah, the beginning.
And that gets me into my episode on Savile and Epstein, which that's a different one. But
Tubby's back.
Yeah, he's letting me know that I have to take Bryson to work in the morning.
That's what's up.
That I can't just ramble all night.
No, and I gotta get on to other things and editing to get this out to the people.
You have to piece this together. And I honestly, at this point, I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot more that we could say because we're us.
We'll say it.
Exactly. And we've already told you so, and we will tell you again.
Yeah, please come back.
But
hold on, wait. Tell a friend. Send out links to people. Literally text them about it, because honestly, social media is technology will chase you too. You can't run from technology when it wants to chase you. Like that's I don't know, man.
What scares them about the internet is that as much as it can be used to control us, it can be used to fuck them up. And when I say them, I mean like that whoever the fuck. I mean, trying to pull strings over all of us.
Absolutely. And
they have many names and many members.
Yeah, I mean, I think by fuck them up, you mean liberate us, bring us closer together.
That depends on which them.
Well, it's funny because it's like the government's defending itself from like kind of like obsolescen at this point a little bit, because like corporatocracy, which it let happen and get out of control, has taken over with tech. And like now
couldn't we have an app for government by now?
We should. A lot of things don't work in the government and are non-functional and should be outsourced, but like aren't. And I mean, the places in which they're failing us, different technologies have already kind of seeped in and taken over in different ways and created.
To go back to the whole Mark of the Beast thing, where it, I lost it. It was something about where it takes us is where it's something, but I couldn't remember the rest of it because
it's all good. I guess what I'll say is like, again, to quote Eugene, shoot, I'm losing it too. What was it? What were we just talking about?
Tubby, you have to leave the room. You're taking away my focus. Go look over there. Look, it's something shiny. Okay. To wrap it up, we were talking about, to quote Eugene,
it's a complete abyss.
Diet Dr. Pepper does taste more like regular Dr. Pepper.
Damn it. PTSD brain.
I know it.
Again.
I think this is where we should leave it. We're still wondering what the hell we were going to say. Because it was good.
I mean, what's shitty is I will be editing later and I'm going to hear it and I'm going to know and I'll be like,
fire the thought.
Son of a bitch. But what I'll do is I'll just go in and I'll throw it on at the end with my always remember to never forget.
There you go.
Fit right on there. If Eugene said it, it definitely would fit right on there. Always remember to never forget.
Anything that because believe me, I know we birdwalk, and I know there's probably at least 2 stories right now that somebody out there is going, wait, he never finished talking, but wait.
Hit us up on the social medias that are trying to shut us down.
Let me know.
Yes, exactly. Let us know where we left you hanging, and we will keep filling you in.
Or leave you hanging.
Again, we'll be like, hey, we came back to tell you about that thing that somebody emailed about and get on some other shit. But that'll be good too.
First.
Sick.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah. The never ending story.
I'm gonna lie. This is where I lose my 80s card.
I mean, I only know it because Stranger Things.
Me too. I feel bad for admitting that.
Yeah,
I actually, one of them. Okay. So here's the thing. I had a childhood where my grandfather allowed me to rent anything I wanted from Blockbuster. So I skipped the never ending story and went straight to Hairspray and Crybaby, which also just explained a lot, didn't it?
I mean, we didn't introduce you thoroughly at the beginning, so we might as well.
I mean, right? And to bring it home, back to my faggotry.
Yeah.
I also love Brother, him and the hologram.
Brother Bakesale. We didn't say your name. Brother Bakesale.
Oh, actually,
I did name you Sister Mary HotTakes.
My name is Bakesale, and I'm a fucking yard sale.
A yard sale indeed. You'll see what that means over time.
You know, I kind of love the fact that, like, I forgot to introduce myself until the very fucking end. Like, oh yeah, if you want a name to think of me as besides Sister HotTakes, which I'm also cool to answering to, and then if you really, 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 really need to fucking get my attention, you can call me Blake. But to be honest, I'll probably answer to Bake faster.
That's what's up.
Because I'll be like, yes, please. So,
Word.
I love you.
I love you. This was great. I'm so glad that we got on here. Perfect.
This has been a long time coming. This has been.
It has been. It has been. And we will do more because we have, we have like a million different stories that are.
Yeah, no, like they're scratching the surface, and then there's the like minuscule dink on which we made on the surface of everything.
Yeah.
Because, like, not only do you have our adventures, but then you have our separate adventures to where we came back together to, like, adventure. So it all goes together in this crazy serendipitous, wild ride that I am glad a possible false flag operation in Oakland brought us to.
Oh, heavens. Yeah, that's another thing that we didn't get into that we have certainly discussed many times, like as the years rolled on, looking back at Occupy, whether or not we were there, you know.
We were called for different reasons.
We felt initially, it was a calling. I felt it in my chest.
Well, you know, you can be called by more than one person and one thing.
Yeah,
and, you can be called by the good thing, and you can also be called by the bad thing.
Yeah. It was one of those things.
It was the same place.
It was one of those things that really made me wonder about my own programming. Like as I looked back at it and kind of just examined what the fuck.
Me too, because I very much let go of everything that had been important and like what I would consider my priorities. I totally dropped them for Occupy, and Occupy became my
everything. Yes.
Until we were casually and ever so gently nudged to leave with the boys going, pop, pop, pop. Could have happened that fast.
I mean, I stayed. Really, I mean, I left for a while, but I really kept coming. Yeah, I
did. To be honest, and that's where I processed it. We're talking with my therapist and all. When I realized, I went back and I was like, that fucked me up. I already had a PTSD from the police attacks, which is what they were.
Right.
And then also just from everything else that went on at Occupy and already being a traumatized brain, like so many different interpretations. It all just depends on who's driving in the driver's seat of the mind that day and who's processing. It might be the best thing that, you know, my favorite memory, or it might be one where I'm like, well, that was fucked up. I think we're off the show at this point, maybe.
Oh, I don't.
You don't? Well, in that case, folks, I gotta get out my cane and fucking dance. No,
I mean, If you need that cutout, can, but damn, you know, like it all really happened, and I just have been frustrated at hearing it brought up. I referred to it in the last episode as the Lord's name being used in vain.
Yeah.
I've repurposed the word Lord, and it means community to me now. And I went back and listened to some songs with that new definition, and it actually worked really well for me. I was like, that's actually like empowering, and like
I can dig it. I can totally dig it.
Yeah, no, I can't keep hearing people call Occupy a protest. And the people that are calling it a protest are calling it like a successful protest or evidence that capitalism as an institution allows for like, you know, protest and pushback or something. And I'm just like, mind blown, like absolutely blown that a human being would ever, like someone under the rule of this system and operation that's I mean, to me, just so clearly eating itself alive right now. Like
it is. It's very much turning cannibal.
I mean, with the Ouroboros thing, it's like it's creeped all the way up the tail, and it's got a fang over its own brainstem.
Yeah,
pushing into it.
Yes, but then doesn't that go into the age of Aquarius, where it's like it's time to shit ourselves out and make something new?
Amen. That's where we're done. Now we're done.
There you go.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you. We'd like to thank our patrons on Patreon and everyone who's bought our merchandise on TeePublic. Find the links to all that stuff and our social links on goodmorningmayberry.com. We've got closed captioned episodes on YouTube. Subscribe, listen, and rate us on all the podcast spots. If you're wondering who we are, we is me and my demons. And you can join the Legion by following our Tumblr, Twitter, or Instagram, jumping on the Patreon, or just buying one of our shirts and wearing that around, drinking the tears of whoever you like the least out of one of our mugs. And coming back and checking out the next episode. I'm Shift. And always remember to never forget.
Never fucking forget that for a mile radius around us, the crime and all that stuff dropped so crazy that they couldn't fuck with us until they goaded us into fucking with us.
It dropped 14%.
There you go. Which, not for nothing, for some poor folks feeding people, that's not bad.
I remembered what Eugene said. If you're not talking about digital colonization, I don't know what you are talking about. I also want to say, Blake asked me to bleep out the specific act that he was doing in that Lindsey Graham story because he did not want his mother to have to, envision details. But, we preserved the nature of the content and the fact that his data came from, as he said, the horse's cock. He chose to redact the names of anyone who didn't give consent to have their names said in any stories. Bye.